welcome to the Easy Odds Premier League video cast, back for another week. I'm here with Ross Casey, the man himself.
Hi Jake, how's it going?
Got a great profit again this week in the Champions League.
Did well in the Champions League, not so good in the Europa League, but who cares about the Europa League?
No one cares. I don't know any of the teams in anyway. Who are they? Random Russian teams and stuff. Anyway, we're going for the Premier League this week again, and we're going first to the Norwich-Everton game at 12:45. Norwich, kind of a forgotten team, like we've said before in this video cast. I always forget that they're in the Premier League. Who are they? Why aren't they in the Championship? Everton, been in really good form recently. They've got Lukaku up front, who's probably gonna have two records broken, because I don't see him stopping scoring anytime recently. So he's probably going to break Vardy's record in the same season. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Everton look a pretty decent price here. They are favourites to win, but they are best price using that odds comparison service of 31 to 20. They've only lost once away from home all season. The fixture list has been pretty kind to them so far this season. They've only really had a tough test at Arsenal where they lost 2-1. Quite unlucky in that match as well also. But you can only beat what's in front of you, and away from home they're in good form. And not just away from home either. In all competitions, they're unbeaten now in their last 7 games, including some pretty big wins up against the likes of Sunderland, and also a tricky Capital One Cup tie against league leaders Middlesbrough in the Championship, and they absolutely trounced them. 2-0 was pretty kind on Middlesbrough actually, and with Lukaku, Delafeu and Barkley all looking in absolutely scintillating form, I think they're just going to have too much for Norwich. They've actually scored 17 goals in the last 6 games. That's an incredible amount of goals scored, and it's largely thanks to those 3 up top. Aruna Kone's popped in with a few goals also.
He's kind of been a bit of a changed player, hasn't he?
He's a changed player, yeah. Looking a lot more like his old self when he was at Wigan, where he was pretty decent under Roberto Martinez also. They've only failed to score a goal in 4 of their 19 games this season, whereas Norwich at home are really struggling for goals. They've only scored 8 goals at home all season long. I just think that Everton are going to have too much firepower for them here. And even historically, the results don't favour Norwich either. Norwich have only won 1 of the last 10 Premier League fixtures against Everton. So I think 31 to 20 on an Everton win up against a Norwich side who are struggling to pick up wins and goals at home is a pretty decent price for an Everton side that are just in great confidence and form at the moment. So 31 to 20 is my tip for the actual match. And then also for the anytime scorer, as you alluded to in the preview, Lukaku is just in absolutely brilliant form. If he's not in your fantasy team, get him in your fantasy team for this game.
Yeah, definitely.
He's probably never looked better in the Premier League since he joined Chelsea all those years ago. It's amazing to think that he's still only 22. I don't know how that's happened.
I can't believe I'm so surprised by that.
Yeah, I think we need to check his passport because he's such a big, strong man.
I've seen pictures of him when he's at school in a school team, and he's literally about twice the size of the other players. It's one of those funny ones where he's just towering over some little kids, it looks like.
Yeah, so he scored in his last 6 matches, as you were saying that he might break the Vardy record. Yeah. What was Vardy's, 11, 12?
Yeah, something like that.
So 6 more games, Lukaku, and you're in the record books. But he's got 7 goals in his last 6 games. That's mightily impressive, leaving him with a goal tied this season of 14. And he's the best price here of 3 to 2 to score a goal, which I think is a pretty decent price. Odds against, and that's my 2 tips for the Everton-Norwich game.
Definitely good. The Everton to win 31 to 20. That's a cracker.
It's not bad. They've only won 2.
I can't see them not winning this game.
They've only won 2 matches away from home, so there'll be plenty of people putting draw down in their bets for this one. But I think that Everton are a pretty decent price at 31 to 20.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on then to the late kickoff. It's Bournemouth versus Man United. I mean, Bournemouth looked down and out. I mean, I was counting them off last week. I think probably most people were. And they beat Chelsea away from home. Mourinho in free fall, but obviously they got their Champions League win midweek that they needed. Against Man United, who just don't like to score goals ever. So this is probably going to be 0-0. No, Bournemouth probably. I reckon Bournemouth are going to win. That's my tip. If we get on. What do you reckon?
That is brave, but I can see why people are thinking that Bournemouth are going to win, because the injury list and suspension list at Manchester United at the moment is just absolutely massive, almost as big as one of Louis van Gaal's dossiers that he carries to all the matches. But Man United have been really impressive defensively this season, keeping clean sheet after clean sheet, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to their away form. At home they seem to keep clean sheet almost every game at the moment, but away from home that's not the case. Of course they would dumped out of the Champions League after a 3-2 loss away at Wolfsburg in midweek. And they're up against the Bournemouth side, who are starting to show real spirit now. They've actually come from behind to gain a point against Everton in that absolutely dramatic 3-3 draw. That was a late winner, a late equaliser, and then a late winner against Chelsea. And that shows fitness is pretty great at Bournemouth. They're a hard-working team. They're well drilled, but they're also really fit, and that is why they're scoring late goals. And I think that 5-2 here on a Bournemouth win is actually pretty short for my liking. And whilst I can see why some people are taking a punt on them, I think taking the odds-on shout of them to either win or draw at 69 to 100 is actually a safer option. So that's the reasons why. And I also think that with Man United losing just 2 of the last 18 matches in the Premier League, backing a team to beat Man United at the moment is a pretty brave move, even if they did lose to Wolfsburg. But I would argue that Wolfsburg are a better side than Bournemouth.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, they do have Nicholas Bentner, don't they? So,
yeah.
So yeah, Man United have only scored 5 goals in the last 6 matches. So if Bournemouth aren't so gung-ho, which is going to be hard for them as that's just how they are at home, they're a gung-ho team, and they manage to keep it tight, then I think that they can take at least a point from a Man United team struggling. And in the tip for my anytime goal scorer, I've gone for a bit of a punt here with Matt Ritchie at 9-2. The Scottish international has proved in open play and with set pieces he's a real danger. His goal against Sunderland was an absolute peach. And it's also on set pieces here, and with Man United having the likes of Marouane Fellaini in the team, I'm pretty certain that Bournemouth will get plenty of free kicks. So 9-2 there on Matt Ritchie scoring an absolute wonder strike. Hopefully.
Do it in style.
Absolutely.
In style.
He only does spectacular things. So 9-2 on Matt Ritchie to score any time, and Bournemouth or draw double chance 69 to 100.
Okay, decent. Right, let's go on to the next game, and it's with my least favourite team in the league against Arsenal. So I'm hoping for a real beating here. Villa against Arsenal. Villa, I'm loving how badly they're doing. One of my friends supports Villa, by the way. That's why I hate them so much, and he hates. I support them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Villa are just the worst team ever at the moment, aren't they? They're gonna get the lowest ever points, aren't they, in the league? I reckon.
Oh, well, they'll do well to not do as badly as you did.
No, they're gonna do it. I just predicted it.
Fair play.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to Aston Villa v Arsenal, Sunday 1:30 kickoff. The draw at St Mary's for Aston Villa was lauded by some as a turning of the corner, but I have to say that did little more than paper over the cracks for me. I've got absolutely no idea how Southampton didn't win the game. They had 63% of the ball. They had 23 shots on goal, and they still managed to only draw the game 1-1. Quite how that happened, I'm not entirely sure. But if you're letting the team have 63% of the ball and also allowing 23 shots on goal coming your way, and you're playing a team as good as Arsenal, you're going to be in trouble. And I think it could get a little bit ugly. Villa picked up just 2 points from a possible 33 in the last 11 league games. That is really, really bad. Confidence must be very low. The crowd at Villa Park almost seem resigned to relegation this season. And Arsenal played Villa 3 times last season, and do you know what the aggregate score was?
No, but I've read that already. So
12-0. So they covered a -1 handicap in every single one of those games, and that's my bet here. -1 in the handicap market for Arsenal, 13-8. They of course won 3-0 in midweek away in Greece against Olympiacos, which is a hard place to go. They've won every single game at home apart from their match against Munich all season long, so they're no mugs, and they managed to beat them 3-0 even with a pretty huge injury list. And they're up against an Aston Villa side that if you just get at Aston Villa, you will get chances, and I think Arsenal are going to suffocate them like they did last season with a 12-0 aggregate score. Yeah. And -1 handicap at 13-8 looks pretty decent value. Mm-hmm. And my anytime goal scorer tip, pretty safe here, but Olivier Giroud, the handsome French international, he scored an absolute great hat-trick in Greece to make sure that they reached the Champions League draw, and he's now scored 4 goals in his last 5 games against Aston Villa also, so he loves to play at Villa Park and score goals against Aston Villa. So 11-10 there on an informed striker, a handsome one at that.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty decent bet.
That hair.
Great hair.
How does he keep it in such good condition? That's what I want to know. Anyway, okay, we go to the next game on Sunday. It's Spurs versus Newcastle. I mean, Spurs have been on good form recently as well. Lamela got a hat-trick last night in the Europa. Newcastle are just so hot and cold, it's ridiculous. What the hell is Steve McLaren doing there? Nobody really knows. But they managed to get a win last time somehow. Strange things have happened, I guess, but what do you reckon is going to happen?
I think that Newcastle's away form speaks for itself, and away from home they're just not very good. So I think Tottenham to win 2-0 here at 11-8 is a pretty decent shout. Newcastle saved their best performances for matches whether on Sky. See their win against Bournemouth. Okay, they didn't perform well, but they picked up 3 points. They beat Liverpool on Sky. They drew with Chelsea on Sky. So they like to perform in front of the cameras, but I think they'll struggle here against the Spurs team who are doing really, really well this season. They've only let in 5 goals in the 8 home games this season, so defensively they're looking really good. So to win 2-0 tick there. Plus you have to take into the equation that Newcastle have scored a pitiful 3 goals this season away from home, 3 in 7 games, and they've let in 18. So away from home, they're just not very good. They were much improved last weekend. I think the stats showed that they ran the second most of all 20 teams in the Premier League. They upped their effort against Liverpool, and they matched Liverpool's work ethic and even bettered it and came away with a 2-0 win. But away from home, for whatever reason, they just can't replicate it. And 11-8 on Tottenham to win 2-0, I think is a pretty decent bet there.
Very nice, yeah.
And for the anytime goal scorer, I'm going to go safe again, and I'm going to say Harry Kane up against a team that have let in 18 goals in 7 games away from home. You've got to be backing Harry Kane, who scored 8 goals in 15 Premier League games so far this season. What can you say about Harry Kane? He's just a goal machine.
He's back.
He's back, and 4-5. I'm not a man who usually likes to back goal scorers at odds on, but with the stat of just how poorly Newcastle are doing defensively away from home, I think Harry Kane will really fancy getting into the goals here and possibly getting maybe 1 or 2 more. So if you fancy putting it to score 2 or more, that could be an option. I think that's priced around 5-2. But I'm going to go safe and just say Harry Kane, odds on 4-5.
4-5. It's probably more likely than not, I'd say, that he's going to score anyway.
Absolutely,
so that's why it's 4-5.
That's why it's 4-5.
So there we have it. There are all the live games on TV. Put money on all those games and watch the money roll in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Download the app. We'll have a download button at the bottom of this video. Once you finish watching it, make sure you download it and make sure that you make the best amount of money that you possibly can with your accumulators and multiple bets. All the best.
Oh!